Ben, did you see the manifold says gap on it?
That's what you're gonna get in a mini, dude. I'm not the gap.
All right, today's the day of reckoning. We're going back to the dyno with the 850. But before that, we did run into a few issues. First was getting the VVIS manifold working. We got a little creative with fixing the vacuum issue by using a BMW N54 vacuum canister that we pulled off the shelf. From there, Aaron noticed that we were getting a bit of knock on one of the cylinders. Everything pointed to a faulty injector, and we took the opportunity to replace all the injectors with brand new Bosch Blues from a T5, and the problem was solved. One thing we have yet to resolve is the variable valve timing. But with most of the other gremlins fixed, it was time to head back to the dyno at the shop CT, where we ran the car with its original engine. So, we're back at the shop CT, strapping the car down on the dyno, a good 60 degrees colder than last time, and with a lot more at stake. Last time we were here, there was nothing to lose and really no expectations, but this time it was different. Feelings of anxiety swept over us as all the hours of work and trouble we went through led to this point. Who isn't scared prior to any test? So we got the laptop plugged into the ECU. The cars, we're flashing the first dyno run tune that Aaron sent. We've got 3 files to try out to see which one makes the most power. Well, once we find whichever one makes the most power, those are different ignition apps essentially. We'll then, obviously we're gonna data log each run, send Aaron a picture of the graph of each run, and then he'll go from there, just adjusting the fueling and basically perfecting the tune. So once we get that flashed, we'll start the car up, warm it up on the dyno bit, and do a power run with the tune file 1. We made 1 horsepower more, but significantly less torque. It just has significantly less low-end power compared to last time, but the top-end power was about the same. However, it carried all the way to 7,000 and still looks like it can go more, whereas the old engine dropped off at like 6,000.
Old engine up there?
Yeah, this is the old versus new.
Oh, nice.
So let me send these to Aaron, and then we'll go from there. With a knot in my stomach, pull after pull to red line, each time Aaron throwing a little more timing at it and taking a little fuel out of it, we basically just hit a wall. Almost identical peak powers to the original 850 engine? It made no sense. So we started to dig in further. So this green graph is the VVIS manifold basically closed, right? So that's one of the runners blocked off. As you can see, it makes a lot more torque at the low end, but then once you get to the high RPM, it drops off significantly. So we made 110 horsepower at the wheels on the top end. This blue line is with the VVIS manifold always fully open. That means full volume all the time. As you can see, we had significantly less torque at the lower end right here, but we had significantly more power at the top end. We made 142 wheel horsepower versus 110. The idea behind running this fully open and fully closed is to find exactly the right point to switch it over. So we have it closed to have the torque at the low end, and we open it at the point where it starts picking up power at the top end.
So that's the next tune?
So Aaron is setting the crossover point at 4840, a very specific number. And we'll do a run and see how it looks. He's going to do a little more adjustments to the fuel, he said, as well. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. Despite the manifold doing its job, it was also choking our engine out. Without enough volume and flow in the intake manifold, the engine was not able to breathe, like sucking air through a tiny straw. Now I know why turbo guys avoid this manifold, and despite its potential, it just wasn't enough to support this engine beyond 140 wheel horsepower. But we couldn't leave it like this. The VVIS manifold was an experiment, but I knew what needed to be done to test this theory, and I couldn't let it end like this. Dude, it moves. Where did we leave off? We went to the dyno last week, and needless to say, we were pretty disappointed at the results, and we didn't want to end this season on a low note. So we've been working on the car all weekend, made a few changes, and we're going back to the dyno for a last-ditch effort to see what this engine is capable of right now. Because I know for sure it made no sense. It made no sense. I know for sure this engine, it should make more power than the stock 300,000 mile engine. And we swapped the intake manifold because that was the only outlier. That was the only strange thing, that only unknown thing that could be the reason. And we put a non-VVIS straight up NA intake manifold, and we're going back. So we'll see what happens. Feeling pretty good about it. So we just did one initial pull on the dyno. It made 148, which is 8 more horsepower. Air fuels are a little rich, need to be cleaned up, and then we'll see if we can throw timing at it. So far it's better, definitely better. Engine sounds a lot better. It sounds like it can breathe now. I'm gonna send this to Aaron, send a log and the graph, and see what happens next. We just tried Aaron's next tune. Initial pull, we didn't really make any more power, but then we did like 3 more pulls back to back, and it kept making more and more power. So we hit 153.77 and 146 torque. We're past the 150 mark now. We didn't reach Aaron's targeted AFR. It's still a little rich. Aaron's gonna take some more fuel out of it, maybe put some more timing into it, and we'll try again, see where we go, you know? It's promising. I mean, look, NA, like, this is not like throwing more, like, you have a turbo car, you throw more boost at it, it makes more power. This is like, you know, it's not easy to make power NA, you know? So, really finite adjustments, and that's small differences, but the engine sounds freaking amazing. It sounds so good. Like between 5 and 7,000, it sounds glorious. So fueling, it definitely is a little leaner, closer to where you wanted it. And like the same thing happened. So like initial pull, it actually made like a horsepower less. And then we ran it again like 3 more times and it picked up. So we landed at 154.97 for horsepower and 146 for torque. So it picked up everywhere.
It kind of doesn't really seem like it's worthwhile to keep trying.
So are you happy with where the tune is on this last run?
Yeah, I think that it's good.
Yeah, but I really appreciate it, Aaron. And let me know when you think you can figure out the VVT. That'd be awesome.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep you updated on that.
All right, sweet. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. Yeah, talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.
While we can't say we didn't hope for more power, it's important not to get too caught up in the numbers and really focus in on how this car actually feels to drive. A dyno is simply a tool used to tune an engine. A 15 wheel horsepower improvement doesn't sound like much, but trust me, this car absolutely rips now. The old engine had most of its power and torque in the low to mid range, but this engine has all the power up top, exactly where we want to be on the racetrack. The feeling and sound that this engine makes when you wind it out to 7,000 RPM is nothing but exhilarating. The old engine certainly did not feel this way, and to me, that alone made the swap worth it. Looking back at the journey this car went through from where we started, a tired old 850 destined for the scrapyard, to engine swaps and diff installs and subframe replacements and so much more, we've come a long way. But this is only the beginning. We have a lot more in store for this little 850, and we'll be heading to the racetrack to really put the whole car to its true test. We really hope you enjoyed the first season of the 850 project. Let us know if and what you want to see in a season 2. And thank you guys for watching.